Good evening. My name is Lynn Lewis. I am a member of the League of Women Voters, Dakota County, and I would like to welcome you to this evening's candidate forum for Dakota County Commissioner District 3. This event is being broadcast and recorded via Zoom, so it will be available for later viewing on a variety of platforms. As always, our events, we want to remind you that the League of Women Voters Dakota County is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences policy through education and advocacy. We never endorse parties or candidates. And now I would like to introduce our moderator, Tina Searstad. Tina is a League of Women Voters trained moderator and is also the Voter Service Co-Chair in Dakota County. We're pleased to have Tina moderating our forum tonight. And now I'll turn the forum over to Tina.
Thank you, Lynn. Good evening and welcome to tonight's forum. We wish to thank Egan Television for a willingness to help the League broadcast and record this event. The League of Women Voters does not endorse parties or candidates for office, and the views expressed tonight are those of the candidate and not the League. The election for Dakota County Commissioner District 3 is for one position. Candidates are, in alphabetical order, Diane Anderson and Laurie Halverson. Both candidates were invited to participate, but Diane Anderson declined. Format for tonight's forum is: candidate will have 3 minutes for their opening statement. Candidate then will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. All questions submitted by email were reviewed by a committee of League members. The timekeeper tonight is Lynn Lewis, member of League of Women Voters, Dakota County. The timekeeper will indicate how much time you have left in the answer. Stop sign will display at the conclusion of the 3-minute and 2-minute segments. And then you will have 2 minutes at the end of the forum for a closing statement. And the forum concludes no later than 8 p.m. Laurie, please begin with your opening statement.
Well, thank you so much, Tina and Lynn. And thanks to the League of Women Voters of Dakota County for hosting this forum. And thanks to Egan Television for televising the forum. I'm Laurie Halverson, candidate for Dakota County Commissioner District 3, representing the communities of Egan, Mendota Heights, and Lilydale. I've lived and worked in Dakota County for over 20 years. My husband and I chose Egan to put down roots and raise our son, who is now a teenager and who attends Egan schools. Over the years, I've always been working to serve our communities in many ways. I've chaired the Egan Parks Commission, I've served on the board of the Egan Foundation, and I've been a volunteer with our local schools, with local arts organizations, and with the Open Door Food Bank. I've been elected to serve Egan as state representative, and I'm currently completing my 4th term in the Minnesota House, where I've led on a wide variety of critical legislation on issues from healthcare costs to youth homelessness, to mobile food banks, and safe routes to school, among many others. I'm running for Dakota County Commissioner because I love our communities, and I bring experience in issue areas that are vital to county management, including public health, mental health, housing, senior supports, and disability services. Like you, I was horrified by the accident that took the life of a child riding his bike to school in Egan. And I'm working to advance safe routes for pedestrians and bikers in Dakota County. Right now, our communities face a challenge like no other with the COVID-19 pandemic, and Dakota County is on the front lines of the crisis. As a state legislator, I've been a partner with Dakota County as we work to mitigate the impact of the virus. I help secure funding for our local governments to address public health and safety during this time, and to provide resources for Dakota County small business grant program. Along with tackling this unprecedented health challenge, it is time for our communities to stand up for racial equity. For all the things we're proud of in Minnesota, we have to face that we're home to some of the county's worst disparities in education, healthcare, housing, and economics. It's time to come together, to have difficult conversations, to listen, to build unity, and to work for change that will ensure that all of our neighbors can thrive. I'm excited to bring my leadership experience and public policy expertise to the county board. I'll work hard to tackle the important issues that we face. You can learn more and connect with me directly by visiting my website, lauriehalverson.org. I look forward to the discussion this evening.
Thank you. So remember, there's 2 minutes to respond to each question. Here's the first question. Do you think Dakota County is a desirable place to live? If so, why? And what would you do to ensure that Dakota County stays that way? If not, why not? And what would you do to change that?
Well, I think Dakota County is a great place to live. My husband and I, when we were looking for our first home as a married couple, threw a wide net. Our families live in the North Metro, and we thought we'd live close to our folks, and we kept getting drawn back to Dakota County because of the vibrance and activity in these communities. And we wanted a place where we could be involved and make a difference in our neighborhoods, and this is the place that we were drawn to. But I think at the same time, we have to recognize that Dakota County, like the rest of our state, is changing rapidly. Dakota County is one of the fastest growing counties, and we have to be aware of how we're growing and that we grow to face our 21st century challenges. And we also have to recognize that as our communities become more and more diverse, we have to ensure that everybody has a seat at the table, working together to make Dakota County great, working to make our park systems work for everybody, our libraries that provide fantastic amenities to folks, and making sure that we have access to affordable housing, that our seniors can age in place in Dakota County, and that we can travel safely through our county on bike and on foot, as well as in our cars and through transit. So we are going to be experiencing some changes, and I look forward to getting to help lead us toward the kind of Dakota County that our residents are asking for.
Okay, here's question number 2. For many residents of Dakota County, it's difficult to access county board meetings, which are most often held during work days when many cannot attend. How would you make board and other meetings more accessible for county residents? Do you support video recording meetings to help meet the intent of open meeting laws? Why or why not?
Well, government transparency is something that has been personally very important to me. Something that I have worked on kind of throughout my life is making sure that people feel connected to government and have a voice in their government. It's one of the most amazing things about our government is that we need citizens to run it. And so open and transparent and accessible government is incredibly important to me personally. I've worked at the state level to increase transparency on campaign finance and economic disclosures of elected officials. Those always aren't the most popular thing with elected officials, but it's policies that we got passed because it's important that people know and understand that we're here to work for them and create that trust. And so I have had concerns about the fact that most people can't show up at a county meeting without having to take time off of work, or we can't watch county meetings on demand when we want to. Counties have a big impact on our day-to-day lives, and people need to feel connected. It is kind of a hidden level of government. Not everybody knows how much they interact with their county on a day-to-day basis. But every time we get on the road or head to a park or look into going to the polls, we're interacting with our county government, and so we have to make it very accessible. So I support more openness, more transparency, and working with folks to find out how we can work to make sure that people can access their local government in a way that reflects the lives that people are living today.
Okay. Here's the next question. It is important to have stakeholders at the table when decisions are being made. How would you identify and engage stakeholders at both the precinct and county level?
That's a really great question. And I love the passion for connection to local government. I think it's very important to be more than just a place that people can go. We don't want people to only find their government when they're having a problem. We want people to be able to engage in the ways that we vision for the future in Dakota County. And that takes a much more intentional and ongoing relationship. And one of the things that's very true, especially when you look at communities of color, is that it's important that we as policymakers are in community. It's one thing to invite people to your table. It's quite another to go to somebody else's table. And I think that it's very important that policymakers are in community, meeting directly with constituents. That I've always had my personal cell phone has always been public information and is out there for people so that folks can get in touch with me as they need to. But I think being very deliberate as we go forward. I think parks is a really great example. There's been a lot of questions about who uses our parks and why some communities want to be in our parks and feel comfortable there, and some folks don't access the parks. And we want to see all of our residents being active and engaged in utilizing the amenities in our county. And we do that by getting into neighborhoods, getting into and building relationship with communities. So that would be an important focus of mine.
Thank you. The next question is, water quality, wildlife habitat, and natural areas are important for residents' quality of life. What is the role of the community in ensuring that natural resource issues are addressed and their quality maintained?
Well, it's Dakota County is a great example, and Egan in particular, where I live, is a great example of how citizens really can have an impact on the values around county and how counties develop. Egan, a group of Egan citizens decades ago made a very concerted effort to ensure that open spaces and natural spaces were part of the way we planned this fast growing community. And so now we have amazing parks, amazing trail, amazing connectedness with our parks. In fact, when I was on the Parks Commission, I remember a developer coming to provide a proposal. And our question was, where's the connectedness? How do you connect this neighborhood that you want to build to the rest of the community and to our park system and trail system? And it was clear that it's not a value in every community, but Egan citizens have made that a value, that we have these kind of amenities that people can access, and that open space is important. And so we want to ensure that we continue to build that value. One of the things I'm proudest of when I talk about the way that we have developed open space in Egan is that it has truly been a community effort, and that it has transcended partisanship. So many issues tend to get put under a partisan umbrella, but it's a great example of the way people can come together to not only create change, but to create a long-term vision for how our communities are going to grow and operate. And as Dakota County is such a fast-growing community, these are going to be issues that we are going to be continually faced with, and it's important that we continue to have that kind of impact from our communities.
Thank you. Next question. What should Dakota County do to make roads safer for pedestrians?
A lot. This is one of the biggest issues that we're facing, and this is, again, goes to community values. As we were developing as a community, and we went from being very rural, particularly in Egan and to the south, the goal was always to get cars through our communities as quickly as possible. And we have many hundreds of miles of county road that we travel on in very busy and built out communities. And we need to ensure that folks can travel the way they want to. And what's changed is that people want to go not just walking for recreation, but they want to go walking as part of their transportation plan. People are looking for to live in places that are walkable and that they can walk safely. We have roads in Egan that are wide and high speed. and they are not safe. And I'll tell you, when I go door to door in Egan, I'm not doing that this year because of COVID-19, but when I go door to door and talk to people about what they want in their communities, I've had more people tell me, this is the number one thing people talk about. I have a school across the street from my house and I cannot let my kids walk there. Walk and bike to school day in my neighborhood when my kid was in elementary school was amazing. I bet there were 500 bikes out in front of my child's elementary school on walk and bike to school day. The one day when we had a big police presence that made sure that our kids were getting there safely, when parents were taking the time to walk or bike their kid to school, it really demonstrates that this is something that people want. And so we have to use all of the tools at our disposal, which include things like road diets and traffic calming and ensuring that we watch the way we mix cars and pedestrians. Pedestrians and bikes have to be a major priority as we build roads for the future.
Thank you. A recent study indicates that Dakota County's mass transit needs to be revamped. What recommendations would you make as county commissioner to improve mass transit in Dakota County?
This is something that's kind of on everybody's lips, and it's something that's changing. When I was first elected, a lot of people said, "Well, all we care about is being in our cars and driving through our community." But it reflects the way that our communities are changing and the way people are getting around are changing. I talk to seniors who want to stay in Dakota County where they've invested, where they've raised their families, where they've worked, and they want to retire here. But their lives change and they want to be able to have transit to get to grocery stores and other amenities because it is safer and keeps them vibrant in our communities. So that's incredibly important. And we have situations where we've got employers in Dakota County that are looking for employees. Dakota County, many of our communities actually grow during the day when commuters are coming to our businesses. And Dakota County employers have really found a challenge in finding employees to get to Dakota County. So we talk about reverse commuting, where we're looking for people from Minneapolis and St. Paul to come into Dakota County, and transit is a really important way to do that. The other thing we know is that young families are looking, when they're looking to put down roots in a community, and this is the backbones of our communities, the things that make us grow and thrive is young families. They are looking for walkable, bikeable, commutable communities where they can go, use transit to go to work, use biking and walking to visit amenities in our community. And so this is going to be a major investment for us in Dakota County, and partnering with our state and local government partners, we can make this happen. And I'm excited that we're moving in this direction.
Thank you. Next question. How would you describe Dakota County's relationship with the Metropolitan Council? What changes, if any, could you like to see in that relationship?
Well, local government and relationships with the Met Council can be challenging. I think that we have in Dakota County built important relationships with the Metropolitan Council and with our neighboring counties. One thing that is very clear is Dakota County is a county that is leading on many issues that are Met Council priorities and where Met Council has oversight. And we want to be sure everything is fair. So as Dakota County has worked to increase transit opportunities through our Suburban Transit Authority and other partners, we want to be sure that what we are investing, that we are getting a return on that investment in our region. And Dakota County is known as in the state as a donor county. We provide a lot of revenue to the state and we get less back. And so we want to be sure that what we are contributing sees investment in Dakota County with regard to infrastructure. Another place that the Met Council has set up important goals for development is around affordable housing. This is another place where Dakota County is a leader, and we are seeing some great innovation on affordable housing. But again, we want to be sure that the investments we are making are being matched throughout the region. And that is why it's important to make sure that we get recognition and get the state dollars matched where we can for the investments that we make as we lead on these important issues.
Thank you. What do you believe is the most serious issue facing Dakota County? How should this issue be addressed?
Well, today you can't say, you can't list any major issue facing communities without talking about COVID-19. We have to work very hard to get this under control. And there are many ways that the county is working to do this. This is another place where the county is very active in our lives where we may not see it. But once this virus hit, as a state legislator, I was on the phone with Dakota County regularly, weekly or more than weekly, talking about how we need to work to mitigate this and what resources the county needed. Public health has been an incredibly important piece of this puzzle. It's a place where I have a background in public policy and recognize public health. But being on the phone and finding out what our public health department was doing to help mitigate the spread in long-term care facilities was something that we did very early on. And Dakota County's response has been really excellent in terms of ensuring that our communal care facilities had access to PPE as fast as we could get it. We were very behind the 8 ball as a country on that. And so we had a tremendous amount of catching up to do. And then also making sure that we could put resources into our Dakota County businesses and employers, make sure that we could put resources out there for folks who were displaced from their job, making sure that our Dakota Scott workforce centers were operational and could pivot in terms of the way they're providing services, because people can't visit Dakota workforce centers right now. And so that is just a small sample of the multitude of ways that we are attacking COVID-19 at the local level, and we will continue to do so. And this really will be our priority going forward.
Thank you. The next question is, if faced with budget reductions, what library services do you consider more essential?
What library services?
Yes.
Well, I think it's important to note that the libraries in our communities provide tremendous community support, especially now during COVID-19. One of the things that is so exciting about the Dakota County library system is how innovative they have been and responsive they have been. Our Westcott Library, and I know other Dakota libraries, have what's called maker spaces, where people can go in and do things like work on podcasts, work on video vlogs, work and get access to technology that we may not have sitting in our homes, but ways that people are really working to make a living and reach people through technology right now. And so that's vitally important. Libraries have been critical for people who are doing job hunting and job seeking, because that technology is there for people to be able to search for jobs. We are tied to the internet and our computers, and the fact that libraries have Wi-Fi that families can access is very important, especially now that we're doing so much distance. And so cutting libraries, making an assumption that that is a place that we can cut, I think that we would have to look very carefully at that, because this is really the connection that people have to the world in many ways. And it's one of those services that people might not even notice and might take for granted on a day-to-day basis. If libraries were gone, if those services were gone, if we were unable to have a community spot for Wi-Fi, a community spot for job hunting, a community spot for access to maker spaces and technology, that would be a huge loss to people who are vulnerable right now in our communities. And so I'm going to do my shout out for libraries and let you know that they are a big priority for me.
Thank you. What is your position on property taxes with regard to maintaining strong, consistent services for county residents?
Well, Dakota County, and it's interesting, I was actually just talking to a person who works quite a bit with counties, and I got this feedback when I said I was running for Dakota County Commissioner, and it's like Dakota County is the gold standard when it comes to budgeting. Dakota County is the only county in the state that has zero debt currently, and is maintaining its levy rate right now. So the county board just voted to maintain and not raise the levy. And so we have a level of stability that a lot of other counties do not enjoy. That's due to very prudent management and thoughtful and important investments. So it's important to know that we start in a very strong place. Now, because counties are so vital to basic services, counties have the responsibility to provide healthcare services for people on our medical assistance programs. Counties have the responsibility to manage public health. And when public health is in the news, we know something, as we see now, we know something bad is happening. It tends to be a hidden activity in our government, but we need public health is who makes sure that we have clean and safe drinking water. Public health is who makes sure that our littlest learners are ready for school through testing for school readiness. Public health is where you go when an outbreak like COVID-19 happens. And let me tell you, I mean, one of the things our public health services are doing right now is they made sure early on in COVID, if people were quarantined, that they were getting their medication, that they were able to, if they had a chronic illness, that they were able to stay on their regimen. So we have tremendous services that we have to provide. And so prudent budgeting is going to be important, but we can't cut things that are going to cost us down the road.
Thank you.
Sorry, I went over on that one.
That's okay. Do you believe Dakota County has enough affordable housing options? If not, how would you propose increasing those options as county commissioner?
Well, Dakota County, when you look statewide, has one of the most significant disparities when it comes to income versus housing stock. So our housing stock is more expensive than our average wages are. And so we need to ensure that people who work in our communities can live in our communities. That's an incredibly important value that I carry. These are folks who are investing in our communities, who are going to raise our kids and their kids in our communities. And we want to be sure that people have the opportunity to live and work and play in our communities. And so increasing the access to affordable housing is incredibly important. It's important to employers as well, because as we've said before, we have a future of workforce shortages that we are going to be facing in every employment area. It has started already with healthcare and technology jobs, but the fact is we do not have the replacement workers we need as the generation in the workforce currently retires. And so we need to have affordable housing here that workers can access so that they can fill the jobs that are going to be here in our communities. And one of the things that I've been really proud of is the innovation around affordable housing. We are home to Lincoln Place, which is the only supportive housing for kids who are aging out of foster care in Minnesota. And that's a very special thing to have in our community. And when that came in, our community welcomed it and celebrated it, and I'm really proud of that. We're currently looking at Dakota County of adding additional senior housing with priority for veterans. Veteran homelessness is a huge problem around the state, and that's a really important way. Giving veterans preference is a really important way that we can address that housing instability.
Thank you. Dakota County Commissioners maintain a very low profile. Many residents do not know what their commissioners do. How would you educate the public on what you do and what your responsibilities are?
Well, forums like this certainly do help. And you're right, a lot of people do not know what county commissioners do. I'm always happy when I get to talk to people who understand, because the impact, as I've said, is so big on our day-to-day lives. In fact, when I told a colleague of mine at the House of Representatives who has served as a county commissioner, he said, "You are going to love it because you make such a difference in people's lives." And that really warmed my heart, because that's what I want to do. That's what you want to do in public service, is make a difference in people's lives. And so being out in community, which is kind of where I am, right? I'm bagging groceries at the open door, or I'm volunteering at the schools, and being accessible is very important. Like I said, my cell phone number has always been public and will continue to be, so that I can be accessible, but also showing up for local community meetings is also a big piece of this puzzle. I don't need people to come to me necessarily. I think it's important for elected officials to go to our communities and build those relationships. So something I've done as a state legislator, and I'll continue that work as Dakota County Commissioner if I'm elected.
Thank you. And here's our last question. As a county commissioner, what one area would you like to see receive more attention from the commissioners?
Well, I have to say health. The health of our communities are incredibly important to me. I have a background in healthcare policy. Many years ago, I wore a different hat. I trained to be a nurse, and I worked in long-term care. So I've been a direct care provider for people in long-term care facilities, as well as in home care. So I know what we're facing when it comes to the shortage in that workforce, and how important it is that we ensure that we have trained professionals with a career path. And a lot of these folks work for the county. These are county employees in many cases, and we want to be sure that we build that workforce for caregiving. In addition, as I said, my public health policy background is important to me. I worked very hard to pass and keep the SHIP program, which is the statewide public health improvement program, which provides funds for local governments like counties to work on health improvement goals, such as reducing obesity, reducing tobacco use. I worked very hard to pass the state's first e-cigarette regulations. It was not easy because folks don't understand the impact that tobacco companies have on our communities and the way they target our communities. And so ensuring that we have a vibrant and active public health system is important. I've gone on visiting nurse programs that the county has. I've gone along on the 0 to 8, the birth to 8 program, to see how kids are being assessed as they are getting into preschool and to their early years of learning. And I have been very connected to health and healthcare in our counties. And that is a piece of expertise that I will bring to the board that I think will improve the balance of issues on the board of our commissioners.
Thank you so very much. So at this time, Laurie, you may begin with your closing statement. You have 2 minutes.
Well, I really want to thank again the League of Women Voters of Dakota County for providing this forum. I will tell everybody what I told you guys. My first job out of college was for the League of Women Voters of Minnesota, and the League provides the gold standard when it comes to local forums and election information. And so I am really proud to sit here with you. I'm pleased to get to be one of your candidates after having been a moderator and working with our local leagues. So thank you. Well, as I said, I am so excited to serve our community at the county. Having been a state legislator for 8 years, I've really built a portfolio of expertise on issues that make a big difference at the state level, but the county is where a lot of these programs get carried out. The policy happens at the state, the county carries it out. And I am a hands-on policymaker, and I really want to have that close connection to my community as a policymaker. And so getting to work where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, both figuratively and literally in this case, is something that I'm really looking forward to do. I am committed to openness and transparency in government, and I'm committed to bringing the voices of the residents of Dakota County to the County Board of Commissioners as our county grows and changes moving forward. I'm Laurie Halverson. I've been pleased to serve this community as a state representative, and I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Again, if you ever want to reach me, you can find me at lauriehalverson.org, and my phone number and email are out there. So look forward to your questions and look forward to getting to see you all in community. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie, so very much for your time. Thank you. We would like to thank the viewers for their interest and for having submitted questions. Again, we would like to thank Egan Television for providing technical expertise. The video of tonight's event will be shown on the local access channels, Comcast channels 859 HD or channel 20 in stereo definition, Egan TV Facebook, Egan TV YouTube, Roku app, community channel, search for Egan Television, and egan-tv.com/watch. Thank you to all the volunteers who worked to make this forum happen. Information on voting in Dakota County may be found at the lwvdakotacounty.org and mnvotes.org. Information on candidates can be found at vote411.org. Remember to vote on Tuesday, November 3, or anytime from today to November 2nd by absentee ballot. Thank you and good night.